Live from the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park in Kenly, North Carolina. Welcome, sim racing fans, to the East Coast Thunder eSports Tour Modified Series, live on Apex Racing TV. I'm your host, Joshua Lee. Down in the production booth is Marco Barbanera, and joining me once again up here in the commentary booth is Brian Dubb. Brian, we missed you last week in Myrtle Beach, but now we're here, Southern National Motorsports Park. It's high banked, it's fast, it's proving a challenge to these drivers so far in practice. What are you thinking heading into tonight's heat races and the feature?
Yeah, it's great to be back. I'm sad that I ended up missing last week, and all the great action that happened there, but I'm excited for tonight. Southern National is always a fun track to go to in any car that you really put here, and it's just so tight. You do, like you said, have that high banking, but you just shoot this car into that turn to get it around here, so it's a lot of fun. It's a very fast, short track, so it's going to be fun to see these guys side by side and just pushing each other to the limit to try to make passes here, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Moving on to the point standings, after 3 weeks of action, we're heading into week 4 here in the Southern National Motorsports Park. Matthew Lambert was able to hold on to the lead of the point standings. He currently sits on top with 154 points. Behind him by 1 point is Russell Peets, currently sitting in second. Chris Downing sits third, Colin Johnson fourth, Casey Hatch fifth, Ignacio Adame is sixth, Trevor Catalano 7th, Kenny Zeems 8th, Tyler Catalano 9th, and Bobby Sant Jr. sits in the 10th spot, with the driver that went back-to-back in week 2 and 3 at New Smyrna and Myrtle Beach, Kyle Eli in 14th. And Brian, this just goes to show how missing out on that first race of the season in New Hampshire, which was a double points race, is really hurting Kyle Eli in this championship fight.
Yeah, and even if we talk about it, missing any race can hurt, but a double points is definitely a points killer. We talk about Bobby Sant Jr., who won our first race. He's sitting there in 10th position because he only has 2 starts, so missing any race can really kill you on points, but a double points paying race is really going to put you even further, because that's basically missing 2 races at that point.
We're talking about guys coming in new and doing great. Blake Barney in the 31. This is his first time on the racetrack in this series here tonight at the Southern National Motorsports Park. And he is currently sitting top of the speed charts, with Kyle Eli sitting in second, Trevor Catalano third, Brandon Wilkinson, another new name in the 56, he's in fourth. Kyle Cisco returns in the 5th spot. Kenny Zeems is currently 6th, Tyler Catalano 7th, William Kruska 8th, Austin McCurdy in 9th, another new name, and Colin Johnston in the 10th spot. So some new names on the speed charts here in practice. 25 cars are going to enter the qualifying session. The format works tonight. The top 6 from qualifying will make it into the feature race automatically. The rest of them will have to race through our heat races, with the top 4 of each heat race making it into the feature race. And then the remaining spots will be decided by provisionals. A maximum of 22 cars allowed in the feature, so we'll have 3 cars going home after the qualifying and heat races. We're currently taking a look at Daniel Hutchins, another new name out here on the racetrack in the 23. He sits 14th on the speed charts with a little bit over 3 minutes to go here in the first practice.
Yeah, and as you talked about those new names, we've seen that when new names come in, they have a lot of speed typically. We see them jump up towards the tops of the charts, and that's such a great thing to see, honestly, because what it does is it puts pressure on those guys that have been here, because if you think that you can be comfortable in points and you start just riding around not having those results, these guys that are coming in who are running fast, they're going to gain very quickly over time.
And we've seen that with Kyle Eli, who is currently undefeated. Whenever he's on the racetrack, he is the fastest and he is the one to beat, because he went back-to-back with Bobby Sant Jr., only winning the first race of the season at New Hampshire. And that definitely helped him, because we have not seen him on track since, and he still is in the top 10 of points. So that just goes to show how much that double points race really helped him skyrocket up into the top of the point standings. But with him not on the track, not gaining any points, we're going to see some new names up there at the top of the point standings. And Kyle Eli jumped 9 places up into 14th, tied for 14th with Jody Reinhardt after last week. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens tonight and how far he'll jump up if he can get another win. But that is a huge if he can get another win. With less than 2 minutes left in practice, you're on board with Russell Peets before we head into the 3-minute qualifying session before our heat races kick off.
Yeah, and speaking of, I want to talk about times a little bit here. A lot of these guys are 2 tenths or less on speed here from first all the way down to 10th is, or no, actually it's 11th now, is all the way under the 13-second mark. The best being at 12.77 and the 11th place having a 12.98. So these guys are all running pretty quick times and fairly close to one another, that really, if you make a mistake and get stuck back in the pack, any one of these guys could end up winning this race.
It's going to be a fierce battle for that top 6 in qualifying, because that is so important to be one of the top 6 in the qualifying session, because then you don't have to race through the heats. You don't have the pressure of possibly being eliminated 2 laps on the racetrack, and you can qualify yourself for the feature race. As we're less than a minute away from getting into that qualifying session, Stephen Barber currently sitting 24th on the speed charts in the 28 machine. You're looking at that machine right now. Going around the outside was that 12 car. There's Brandon Wilkinson, another new name in the 56. He is looking to make a splash here in the series, week number 4. I'll remind you of our schedule for the East Coast Thunder Esports Tour Modified Series. Tonight we're here at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Next week we'll be at the Oxford Plains Speedway in Oxford, Maine. Then week 6, on August 6th, we will have another double points race at the historic Martinsville Speedway in Martinsville, Virginia. Then week 7 we'll be at South Boston Speedway, a historic short track race in Virginia. Then week number 8 will be at the Lanier Raceplex in Brazelton, Georgia. Week 9 will be at Five Flag Speedway, another historic short track in the South at Pensacola, Florida. And then we'll be ending it off with the final race of the season, week 10, another double points race in the USA International Speedway in Lakeland, Florida. Checkered flag out for practice. It is time to put these cars on the racetrack, single file, one at a time, for 4 laps of qualifying. They are on the clock. Everybody now making their way out onto the racetrack to set some outlaps.
It's going to be very exciting here because looking around that 5th position in practice, those guys were with less than a tenth with one another. So it's going to be very interesting to see these guys push it to make that spot, because if you mess up in the slightest, you could go all the way down to 11th on the speed. So these guys really got to make sure that they make the most of these laps.
It's so insane seeing these cars dive down into turns 1 and 2, because they just dive down right into the banking. This banking is really big, especially for a short track of this size. We're usually seeing this at Bristol and a couple other short tracks like Dover, but here at one in the Southern National Motorsports Park, that banking is huge, and the car just really unloads heading down into the apex of that corner. But right now, top of the speed charts, Trevor Catalano, and just as I say that, there goes Eli. Familiar face up at the top of the leader charts. 12.839 is the time for Kyle Eli. Trevor Catalano sits 2nd. Ken Zeems sits 3rd. Kenny Zeems in 4th. Patrick Hojer 5th. And Russell Peets rounds out your top 6 right now. As time's still making their way in, we'll see what changes on the leaderboard as we are about halfway finished with the qualifying.
And just like that, Brandon Wilkinson jumps up to the top, and followed by him is Blake Barney going in 2nd. So these guys putting down some quick laps right there. Wilkinson is the first one to break into the 12.7s here in qualifying, but Barney there with a 12.81 to follow.
Now on the bubble for that provisional spot into the feature is Kenny Zeems. He sits 6th currently on the charts. He is on that bubble to try and make it into the feature race off of just qualifying alone. Across the line, Colin Johnston not going to improve, and Wilkinson improves on the top of the charts with a 12.744. And a slight improvement from Blake Barney, 12.806. We're looking at Kyle Eli trying to set a faster time. He just took the green flag on a flying lap. Still on that bubble, Kenny Zeems. Nobody able to make their way into the top 6 just yet. No improvements up at the top of the leader charts right now. Eli going to improve up to P number 2, 12.756. 15 seconds left, and Cisco just barely missing out on the top 6. He goes into 7th, 12.996, missing out by just about 5/100ths of a second. Final laps coming in here. Trevor Catalano improves 12.797, but that is going to conclude qualifying. We have our top 6 into the feature race here tonight before we get ready to race here in heat number 1. Wilkinson on top with a 12.744. Kyle Eli in second. Trevor Catalano third. Blake Barney fourth. Ken Zeems fifth. And Kenny Zeems will round out your top 6 for the automatic spots in the feature race. And there's the rest of the qualification down your screen. No time being set by James Sullins in the 25th spot. We'll see if he starts his heat race. But speaking of heat race, let's take a look at this grid for heat number 1 of 2 here tonight. Kyle Cisco will start on the pole. Patrick Hosier second. Russell Peets third. Tyler Catalano fourth. Austin McCurdy fifth. Jody Reinhardt sixth. Christopher Opgar 7th, Colin Johnston 8th, Jason Hands 9th, and James Sullins round out your top 10. It doesn't look like Sullins is in the session or on the track. It looks like that spot is going to be automatically surrendered, so we'll have 9 cars here in heat number 1 and 9 cars in heat number 2, with the top 4 making it into the feature race. Everybody else going to need to hope and pray that they are able to make it in on provisionals and do not get eliminated before the feature race gets started.
So looking at those times from qualifying, I'm wondering if maybe some guys decided to take it a little bit easier, because I noticed that the times generally slowed down there in qualifying. So I don't know if maybe the track changed between practice and qualifying, or if they just decided to maybe take their time with it and try to make sure they complete that lap and not spin it out and burn off the tires or something like that.
I was hearing over the radio a bit, over the iRacing voice chat, that they were having a little bit of issues with their setups because they have a 2-hour practice session from 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern, to 10:30 p.m. Eastern, and it really was difficult for them to move the setup from when it started in late afternoon to now when it's night out and it's dusk. So a lot of them were struggling with a tight race car, a couple of them struggling with a loose race car, and it just kind of all depended on how the track changed. And it seems like the track changed a lot, especially for the guys running what I'm going to coin as the Kruska setup, because it is the one William Kruska always is running, and about half the field and part of his team is also running the same setup as well. So we'll see how those cars do. Cisco going to start on the inside line for heat number 1 with Hosier to his outside. Brian, what are you expecting for this first heat? We've seen fast times in practice. Do you think we're going to see a lot of carnage, or do you think we're going to see some good racing heading down to 1 first time?
I think it really just depends on how these guys are thinking about it, because really short track here, it's going to be really fast, and if you go too hard, you're going to end up wrecking yourself most likely also, so we'll see what happens.
Cisco, Hosier, Peets, Catalano, your top 4. We'll see if it stays like that. Cisco is gone. Green flag, 8 laps for heat number 1. Peets down on that inside line.
Yeah, they kind of train. Oh, and there's contact back there and hard into the wall. There's 2 different cars there.
Jody Reinhardt involved. Christopher Opgar as well there in 8th and 9th. McCurdy fighting for a transfer spot. Peets now up to P number 3. McCurdy has that transfer spot. He's currently in the battle for 3rd. You're looking at Tyler Catalano back from Peets, trying to make his way up into this top 4 fight. With Cisco pulling away with the lead, Hosier in 2nd. And here's the battle for 3rd between Peets and McCurdy. It looks like McCurdy's in a little bit more of a battle with Hosier.
Yeah, this track is such a nose-to-tail track because you want to run that bottom. That's the preferred line here to make sure you get that run off, and it looks like he actually pushes up there. Maybe gave him the courtesy of letting him by, but it might cost him as he ended up slowing down in front of him.
Oh, now Catalano is to his inside. He's going to lose out massively. There goes Catalano. He's outside of the top 4 now. Hosier now outside of the top 4, P number 5, as Catalano goes right by on that inside line. Could there be a problem with the 7 car? Do you think he just got up on that outside line, the non-dominant lane, and ended up losing almost 3 positions there?
Yeah, as you saw, he moved up a little bit to, I think he was letting the car by, and then next thing you know, he ended up, the car in front of him checked up, and he had to get out of the gas and onto the brakes, and at that point, the cars behind him just took the advantage and got in front of him.
What a tough break for Patrick Hosier. It looks like he's going to finish P number 5, but Cisco going to come across the line for first. McCurdy able to take over P number 2 with Pete's and Tyler Catalano rounding out your top 4. And a tough break for Hosier. He is going to have to let his spot in the feature up to the racing gods and hopefully end up with a provisional spot into the 22-car feature race. But heat number 1 completed. They're going to grid up for heat number 2 now. As there we go. Now the grid going to set for heat number 2. Taking a look at the results of heat number 1. Well, first we're going to take a look at the... We'll take a look at the results for heat number 1 there. Cisco wins at McCurdy in 2nd, Pete's in 3rd, and Catalano in 4th. 2 Opgar eSports drivers up in the top 4. The other Opgar eSports driver, Christopher Opgar, finishing in 8th after that wreck early on in the race. With Hosier, Hand, Johnston, Opgar, Reinhard, all going to rely on the provisionals to hopefully make their way into the feature race. But the pace car is gone for heat number 2. Let's take a look at this starting grid. Brian, you've got it.
And starting on the pole position in this heat, we have Jason Ricker. In 2nd is William Kruska, or Billy Kruska, again. And 3rd, it's Chad Garlicy Jr. In 4th is Casey Hatch. 5th is Daniel Hutchins. 6th is Neil Rutt III. 7th is Matt Lambert. 8th is Stephen Barber. And 9th is Hunter Azik.
And we did have a bit of a name change for William Kruska. It is the same driver that we've been seeing for the first 3 weeks. Just changed his name in the overrides to Billy Kruska. We'll be referring to him by that from now on. Jason Ricker, Kruska, Hatch, and Garlicy Jr. all ready to go racing here in heat number 2. 8 laps to decide the top 4 and to automatically move into the feature race. And a late start from your leader, Ricker. Kruska on the outside gets the good jump. He's going to run away with the lead through 1 and 2.
I'm wondering if he missed a shift. He was really slow there because as we see, he ended up falling back even further for a second there. So it looked like he might have just missed a shift or been in the wrong gear to start there.
Points leader Matthew Lambert in the 48 fighting for a transfer spot. He's sitting in P number 5. He's going to need to get past the 97 of Chad Garlicy Jr. to make his way into the feature race off of just racing his way in and not relying on that provisional. Multiple cars in the wall there going into P number 3. But coming on to lap 4, the 97 of Chad Garlicy Jr. holding on to that transfer spot, and he's pulling away from Matthew Lambert.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of these guys are dealing with a really tight race car right now. It seems to just be pushing up on exit and even on entrance there. Some of them having trouble holding that bottom. And what that's doing is giving guys behind the opportunity. Oh, and a big wiggle there from Hutchins.
Daniel Hutchins making his start here tonight. First start in this series as Lambert has caught up to the 97 of Chad Garlicy Jr. He's only got 3 laps to make the move happen. 2 laps when they come across the start-finish line this time by. But Garlicy Jr. has his eyes set on Casey Hatch. He is not worrying about Matthew Lambert right now, but Lambert wants to get past him to hopefully get a better starting spot for the feature and hold on to that points lead by the end of tonight. Here's the white flag, heat 2. Oh, trying to make the move, a little bit of contact, but there goes Matthew Lambert to the outside of it. Chad Garlicy Jr., Kruska, Ricker, Hatch, and Lambert, your top 4. They will automatically make their way into the feature race. Everybody else going to rely on those provisionals for the final spots for the feature. But what a pass from Matthew Lambert on the inside of the 97.
Yeah, I was waiting to see how it played out there because I saw it coming. He had to take that opportunity. It was just I was more worried on exit than I was on entrance there because of how tight these cars are getting. So, but it was a great pass and move made, and he moves on from it.
Results now from heat number 2. Billy Kruska taking the win by over 1 second over Jason Ricker. That car is very fast. Casey Hatch in 3rd, Matthew Lambert, your points leader, in 4th, and that rounds out your automatic bids into the feature race with Garlicy Jr., Rutt III, Daniel Hutchins, Hunter Azik, and Stephen Barber rounding out your top 9. And it looks like as far as eliminated cars go, trying to figure out exactly who is going to miss out on a feature race spot. There's a total of 22, and it looks like Barber is going to miss out on a spot, and I don't know if anybody else is going to be missing out on a spot. No, Jody Reinhardt is going to miss out on a spot. So we have Reinhardt and Steven Barber both eliminated because we can only have 22 cars in the feature. We have our 22. They were 23 and 24. Tough break for those two drivers.
Yeah, it definitely is. You never, especially when you get this size field, you don't want to be that person that ends up missing out. And so it's just such a tough feeling, especially sometimes because what happens in the heat races isn't entirely your fault. You can just get caught up on someone else's mess, and then it just kind of puts you out of the race. So it's a bad feeling, but all you can do is come back next week with that energy to try to get into there just based on qualifying.
And that also gives them more motivation to work on their cars and work on their driving throughout the week. Because as anybody who does iRacing a lot knows, it is not just hopping in a car and going fast. You need to put the work in. You have to put in that effort. And just being eliminated from that feature race is only going to strengthen their effort to try and come back next week in Oxford Plains and make their way into the feature and hopefully be a contender for the win. As 30 seconds could remain here in the final warm-up before the feature race. You're looking at Tyler Catalano. Raced his way in through heat number 1. That Opgar eSports car looking fast and it's looking sharp. And now your points leader, the 48 of Lambert. The racer out of New York wants to keep that points lead. The only thing between him and keeping that points lead is Kyle Eli, because Eli is 2 for 2, and if he can win tonight, he will be 3 for 3 and undefeated in all of his starts in this series. That car is fast, and that driver is fierce. As we're getting ready to go racing for the feature race here at the Southern National Motorsports Park, located in Kenley, United States. Temperature 78-degree track temp currently. Sorry, track temp 81 degrees. It is partly cloudy, 78 degrees Fahrenheit in the air here at this 0.35-mile Southern National Motorsports Park racetrack. Your starting grid for the feature race. Brandon Wilkinson will start on the pole from qualifying. Kyle Eli in second. Trevor Catalano third. Blake Barney fourth. Ken Zeems fifth. Kenny Zeems sixth. Those are all the drivers that made it in through qualifying. And then you have your two heat winners, Kyle Cisco and Billy Kruska, the two heat race second place finishers, Austin McCurdy and Jason Ricker. And then Russell Peets and Casey Hatch round out your top 12.
And in 13th, we have Tyler Catalano. 14th is Matthew Lambert. 15th, Patrick Hosier. 16th is Chad Garlicy Jr. 17th, Jason Hand. 18th is Neil Rutt III. 19th is Colin Johnston. 20th is Daniel Hutchins. 21st, Christopher Opgar. And 22nd is Hunter Azik.
22 race cars ready to let loose here at the Southern National Motorsports Park for 60 laps. Brian, we saw a lot of carnage. We saw a lot of great moves made in the first two heats. Now we're here in the feature race, much longer than any of the heats, 5 times longer than any of our heats. What are you expecting here?
I think that these guys got to settle down. We saw some wrecks in both heats, so these guys just got to calm their nerves a little bit here and take their time to just make sure that they can make that pass, because if you want to make a pass, you will be able to, as long as you can hold the bottom better than the person in front of you, because their cars we saw were tight. They're going to push up, and that's just where you got to take advantage.
New faces, new names, new racetrack, the same series. Eli on the outside, but it's the newbie on the inside. Brandon Wilkinson making his debut. Week number 4 of the East Coast Thunder eSports Series. Let's go racing from Southern National.
That was a great jump there from Brandon Wilkinson, being able to get out front, hold that bottom, but Kyle Eli is holding strong on that outside there.
Already caution out on the racetrack. Oh, Matthew Lambert's involved, your points leader.
Yeah, that's a big hit right there. To be involved this early, maybe it won't be too bad. His car doesn't look too bad. So we'll have to see what ends up really happening here as we take a look at the replay.
I think something happened a little bit further up the road. Yes, it did. Billy Kruska got turned around, and it looks like just nowhere for Matthew Lambert to go. Now you're taking a look at Billy Kruska. He went for a move down to the inside, and it just looks like Russell Peets was a little too close. Kruska braked a little too early. It looks like Peets just wasn't ready, but it looks like not a lot of damage to any of those cars. Looks like they might be A-okay, but here comes Kruska in the 6 down pit road. A reminder, each of these drivers have only one set of tires they can change into. So we'll see if anybody's going to change into them this time by Lambert also making his way down pit road. 2 cars in here in the first caution. Not even 1 lap completed under green yet here in the feature.
Yeah, and about that incident, it looked like Kruska just got a big run off the corner on the car in front of him, and then he went to make the move and then possibly backed off, maybe to try to make the corner. And at that point, it was when Russell Peets was just so close that he just could not get out of his way.
Kruska wanted to make the move on the 75 machine of Austin McCurdy. It just looks like there was not enough room from behind there. Here's another look at that start from Wilkinson. A nice start going down to the inside, trying to get a slingshot coming off of turn 4 right as that pace car left down to pit road. Oh, that was the restart. Sorry there. Getting a little bit confused there with that replay. But another caution is out on the racetrack once again. See what happened here for caution number 2. Another one immediately after this restart.
It's looking like it's going to be the 12 of Jason Hand involved here. He's on the bottom. Oh, and he just loses it off the corner, maybe getting too much of the apron there, it looked like, and just ended up spinning it down there.
Doesn't look like a lot of damage to that modified. Looks like he'll be able to bounce back from that. He did not come down pit road, but one car that did come down pit road is the 14 of Casey Hatch. And William Kruska is also down pit road at the same time. Not sure if either of them are taking new tires, but both of them making stops. 3 cars have come down pit road. That's Kruska, Hatch, and Lambert. Lambert came down pit road once, so did Hatch, and Kruska has come down pit road a total of twice tonight so far. Not sure if any of them have changed tires or if it was just damage repair. But not a lot of changes happening up at the top of the charts. Catalano gained 1 spot on Kyle Eli. Eli back to 3rd.
I think Kruska is just getting some damage fixed at the moment. I think it's a little early to take tires. You got to wait until at least that halfway point, really, if you're going to end up using them. But at the same point, if we keep having cautions like this, some of these guys aren't going to come down pit road at all as long as they can keep holding it up front.
Lights out on the iRacing.com Mustang pace car. They'll double file up once again, and we'll go back to racing. Wilkinson unchanged from the top of the charts right now. He sits on the point in 1st. Trevor Catalano will start to his outside. Kyle Eli behind him with Kyle Cisco gaining 3 spots up on the field. After he raced his way in from heat number 1, winning that heat. We're back green, diving into 1 again. A little bit of contact with Catalano. Eli wants the 2nd spot, and he's going to be to the inside of that 54, the 07 to the inside as they come off of turn number 4. Wilkinson running away as everybody behind him 2 by 2 for 3 rows.
Yeah, and that's the best sight that Wilkinson can see in his mirror there. As you see the guys side by side, you know this is your chance to really lay down some laps, build that big enough gap that they're not going to catch you afterwards. But we do see that Eli was able to get clear of Catalano here, and we'll see if Eli can chase him down.
That's a great shot right there. You can just see the gaps in between each car as Wilkinson continues to try and pull away. Eli now in 2nd. He has his eyes set on that 56. With Blake Barney, who was fastest in practice, now on the back bumper, the 54, trying to make a move for the 3rd spot. Barney sits in 4th in that 31, in the longest green flag stint we have had tonight so far. And that 31 wants that 3rd spot. He's going to move him up out of the groove. To the inside goes the 31 for 3rd.
Yeah, and we'll see how this ends up working out here. I think he's going to end up eventually getting the spot because he just has that bottom. It's just one of those things where, yes, you can be patient and wait for someone to push up off the bottom, but If you need to go, if you're faster, then you need to move them, because otherwise, if they're holding that bottom, you can't go anywhere. But Catalano is holding strong on that outside for now.
This is causing Cisco to make his way to their back bumper, as well as the 23 of Kenny Zeems. They're side by side still. Cisco looking for a place to go. As to the inside now of Cisco goes the 23. Not going to get there. Zeems wants that 5th spot away from Kyle Cisco, who was watching that battle for 3rd happen ahead of him. Back to the inside goes the 31. Not going to get there. To the outside is Catalano in the 54, holding strong that 3rd spot.
Now, this is some great action right here. Catalano's just been able
to...
Oh,
Catalano spins!
Just as I was saying that was some great action, Catalano ends up just losing it there. I don't know if it was netcode, maybe? That was a weird spot to lose it. Or maybe he picked up the throttle too quickly. That's just an... Oh, no, it looks like he just got loose. And just, it happened to end up collecting Barney there, so, and a couple other cars. So that's an unfortunate incident there after the great action we were seeing.
It could have been just, this is the longest run we've had tonight, and the tires might have just started to wear because he was on that outside, and poor Austin McCurdy, nowhere for that 75 machine to go. Like I was mentioning there, with the tires starting to wear, and he's running that outside and running incredibly fast, those tires are going to wear a little bit more than they would if he was running the bottom. That could be possibly that is what happened. And Kenny Zeems getting caught up in there too. A tough break for him. He's now seated back in the 21st position. But we have a couple cars in pit road. Making another stop is Casey Hatch. He has now made 2 stops. There goes Russell Peets diving down into pit road. And Matthew Lambert not diving down pit road. There goes Jason Hand. He is in for his 2nd stop currently. With McCurdy also in pit road, Kenny Zeems in pit road, and Trevor Catalano all also coming down pit road for their first stops of the night. We're on caution number 3, as there goes the 48 of Lambert back down pit road.
Yeah, I think another thing is you don't typically run the outside here, like I mentioned, so you don't know what your car's really going to truly do up there unless you actually take time to spend practicing running that groove. But normally you just want to run the normal line, which is on that bottom. So it could be one of those things where it's just not knowing exactly what's going to happen in that line, picking up that throttle, and just losing the back end.
Field going back to 2x2. Wilkinson choosing the outside here. Brian, do you think it's a little bit of a strategy call?
I think it's an interesting one. I think if you can get him clear here as we see him take off, and oh, that was a great call by him.
Oh, and that really helps Cisco too. He's now on the outside of Kyle Eli, trying to get P number 2, and he will, diving down to 3, contact! Cisco around, Eli involved, they save it, but there goes the 13, spinning out of the inside, contact with Chad Garlicy Jr., and another caution out there on the racetrack, Jason Ricker involved.
Yeah, and that all started with contact between Eli there. Eli, I'm not sure if I think he tagged the rear quarter of the car in front, and that's what sent him around a little bit.
Man, what a chain reaction wreck that was, with Cisco just getting a little bit of contact from Kyle Eli, and then the 13 getting loose on the inside. That is what happens here on short tracks. Most wrecks are pretty much just chain reactions. Small moves made up ahead of these guys, and they just end up getting turned around. Here's the replay of that restart. Wilkinson choosing the outside line. And I mean, what a choice. He just slingshotted on that start coming off of 4.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of choosing that outside line, is if you're able to get that great start there, you're able to actually dive it in like you normally would. But right there we see the 07 of Eli just ends up pushing slightly, getting a little tight, it looked like, and just tagged him right on the back rear.
I got to give it to Wilkinson right now. I mean, we've had cautions, but we've also had a long green flag run, about a 6-lap or so green flag run in the middle of this race. And Wilkinson has been able to stay on top since the beginning of the night, qualified on pole, and has been able to stay there for the entire race tonight as we're nearing halfway done. So just props to Brandon Wilkinson coming in here. He is a rookie, his first race here tonight in this series, and he is doing an amazing job leading the way with now Blake Barney in second, Ken Zeems third, Kyle Eli fourth, with Kyle Cisco in fifth. Your highest mover currently on the racetrack, up 13 positions. He started in 20th, up to 7th now. It's Daniel Hutchins in the 29. The second biggest mover is the car right in front of him, the 41 of Neil Rutt III. He gained 12 positions since the start. He started P18.
And another thing, I think we saw that being the leader here is such a big deal in this series. And Wilkinson actually chooses the bottom now, so we'll see how that plays out.
Another good start, but up on that outside, it's Blake Barney. He's going to be on the outside and take the lead. Brand new leader, the 31, but here comes the 50. The 56 back to the inside and contact once again. The 31 around, they're 3 wide. They were able to save it, but there goes Brandon Wilkinson up front, and there goes Blake Barney back to 5th.
Yeah, and I think Eli actually just saved a big crash from happening there because Eli kind of tagged the 31 of Barney there and put him back straight. And if he hadn't, then we would have had a big wreck. Oh, and there's the wreck anyways.
The 41, Neil Rutt the third around. Maybe there's some contact from some other cars. Let's take a look at that replay. 24 laps to go, but all we saw was Neil Rutt the third and the 41 around coming onto the back straightaway. Battle up ahead of him. Blake Barney's ahead of him too, and it looks like the 28 of Daniel Hutchins, so the 29 getting in there just a little bit too hot into 1, and around goes the 41 in turn 2.
Yeah, and then on the back end there, it looked like Hunter Azik tagged him there at the end. But yeah, so a lot of action happening in there. We've seen a lot of contact up at the start, and oh, Brandon Wilkinson almost getting a piece of that, but being smart and slowing down to avoid it. But yeah, we've seen a lot of contact even up at the front. So these guys are pushing it hard right now, and it's going to be fun to see who's going to be that person to finally maybe make that pass without any contact.
We've seen a lot of guys try and dethrone Brandon Wilkinson, but every time he comes back stronger and faster. He has led every single lap tonight. Ken Zeems now taking over the second spot in the 90. Kyle Eli falls back to the third spot. Kyle Cisco in fourth. Blake Barney in fifth, with Daniel Hutchins now in sixth. Tyler Catalano seventh. In eighth, it's Patrick Hosier. Ninth, Billy Kruska. And in 10th, Chad Garlicy Jr. That is your top 10 currently on the racetrack, with a lot of cars coming down pit road, but still the top 8 have not come down pit road yet. Billy Kruska in 9th has come down pit road twice. Casey Hatch in 11th has come down pit road twice as well, with Chad Garlicy Jr. in 10th, not making a pit stop yet. The other two to not come down pit road is Christopher Opgar and Colin Johnston. Field back 2x2, getting ready to go Mac Racing.
Yeah, and I won't be surprised, honestly, if some of these guys don't come down pit road. We got 20 laps to go. At this point, it's a little bit too late.
We've also seen Billy Kruska. I believe he took tires on one of his stops. He is dicing his way through the field, making up a lot of spots. See what happens. We're back racing. Green flag. 19 laps to go here at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Ken Zeems holding his own on the outside, but there goes Brandon Wilkinson right back to the lead as Zeems now in a battle with Cisco for second.
Yeah, and again, as I talked about earlier, that's a beautiful sight in a leader's mirror. When you see two guys battling, especially the way Ken Zeems and Cisco are going to battle, is they are almost bumping wheels.
Oh, contact!
Wheels.
Ken Zeems got put in the wall, no caution. A lot of talk being made over the iRacing voice chat right now. Sorry to cut you there, Brian, but Ken Zeems is livid after that wreck with Kyle Cisco.
Yeah, we've seen Ken Zeems get the bad end of the stick a couple times now, but we kind of saw that coming when they were wheel to wheel and just there was just running out of room.
You can remember back to last week, him and Chris Downing had a bit of a disagreement over a wreck that happened towards the beginning of the race, and Ken Ziems showed his disapproval with Chris Downing towards the end of the race. And I'm wondering what's going to happen here with Kyle Cisco, as Cisco is up to P number 2. You're on with the battle for third with the 31 and the 07 of Blake Barney and Kyle Eli. Right on back, you're taking a look now at the 64 of Tyler Catalano. He takes over 6. There goes Billy Kruska to the inside of Hosier. He's going to grab P number 7. And again, this is the same thing we saw in the heat. And Hosier goes around. Contact with Garlicy Jr. Hatch getting involved. He comes down to Lambert. Another caution.
Yeah, and it looks like there's just a little bit of unanticipation happening, because as cars are slowing down to not run into the back of cars in front of them, the guy behind them doesn't quite seem to have the awareness, it seems, to know that. And as you look, it's just kind of got sent in there and ended up causing that.
And I want to go back to what was happening to Patrick Hosier there, because we saw with the same thing in his heat where he got to the outside line and just started falling off. We've seen a lot of guys make that outside line work, but Brian, do you think Patrick Hosier is just not set up for that outside line?
Not as sure about that. I think he was settling in behind Kruska there, and then it just happened to be that the 97 there of Garlicy just didn't anticipate him checking up to not run into the back of Kruska, which you have to do at these short tracks, because if you're nose to tail like that and you're sending it in there that much and the person in front of you is right there, you're gonna end up seeing wrecks like that happen. So it's just a little bit of awareness that you have to be aware of how many cars are actually in front of you if it's not just that one car.
9 laps remaining here at the Southern National Motorsports Park here in the East Coast Thunder eSports Tour Modified Series feature race. Now 8 laps to go as the field comes across the start-finish line under caution. Brandon Wilkinson has led every single lap tonight. Kyle Cisco in second, Blake Barney third, Kyle Eli fourth, Daniel Hutchins in fifth. What a drive for him. He started P20 tonight. He's up 15 spots into the 5th spot. Tyler Catalano in 6th, William Kruska 7th, Casey Hatch 8th, Matthew Lambert, your points leader, 9th, with Christopher Opgar in 10th, Colin Johnson 11th, Hunter Azik 12th, Neil Rutt III 13th, in 14th is Patrick Hosier, and in 15th it is Chad Garlicy Jr. That is your top 15. We're back double file as the field comes back onto the back straightaway. 6 laps to go and they come across the line. Wilkinson on the inside, Cisco on the outside. Who is going to take the win? Will it be a newbie up at the front, or will Kyle Eli go 3 in a row? We're back racing.
And there was a bit of a wiggle there from Wilkinson, but we've seen this happen multiple times, though, where he gets to the bottom and someone's on his outside, but then he's able to clear them off the turn, and there's a wreck back on the backstretch.
With 5 to go, caution back out on the racetrack. We will be going into a green-white checkered finish, I believe. We'll get some clarification on that once they come across the line a couple more times. The 3 wide, and it looks like the 99 just started coming up the racetrack and nowhere for that 7 car to go.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was aware they were 3 wide there or not, but the 7 was just running that middle lane, and like you said, the 99 just kind of drifted up there a bit and just ended up turning him. So the 7 of Patrick Hosier has not had great luck tonight. Maybe he can get it back by next race, but tonight has not been his night.
13th in the points heading into tonight's feature race. We'll see how that changes in the post race. We'll get you the winner here from the feature race. We'll take a short break, and then we'll be heading into post-race interviews, but we still have the feature race to finish here. 3 laps to go. Field pacing under caution currently. And I believe we will be entering a green-white checkered finish, the first attempt. We have 3 attempts to have a successful green-white checkered finish. What is a successful green-white checkered finish? It is the white flag being taken. So they will take the green flag on the restart. Then they will take the white flag, and then they will take the checkered flag. Once that white flag is out, no more cautions can be thrown. But if caution is thrown out on the green flag lap, we'll rack them up, and we will send them through another restart. We have 3 chances to get a good green-white checkered finish. After that 3rd chance, if we get another caution, it will end under caution, and whoever is leading at the moment of caution will be your race winner. But we'll see if it comes down to multiple green-white checkered attempts. They're going to rack up for attempt number 1 as we are on official lap 60 of 60. So we are heading into overtime. Brian, this always causes the best finishes in NASCAR. I think it's going to cause a great finish here in the East Coast Thunder eSports Series.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see.
Wilkinson inside, Cisco outside. Can Eli make his way from the outside of row 4 to take the win? 2 laps to go, they dive into 1. Cisco to the outside of Brandon Wilkinson. He pushes up off of turn number 2. He's still holding strong on the outside. There's the 31 of Blake Barney on the back bumper, the 56. White flag, 1 more lap to go. Southern National Motorsports Park, contact. Cisco around in turn 2. He's able to save it. But Brandon Wilkinson, in his first start here in the East Coast Thunder Esports Tour Modified Series, takes the win in Georgia.
Yeah, again, contacts coming into play at the end of this race up front. A lot of guys going to be unhappy after this race with one another from all the contact, but that was a great race overall. The amount of times we saw some actual green flag runs happening with guys wheel to wheel with one another. And again, we have another new winner here. So that's another great thing for this series.
The New Englander wins his first time out here in the East Coast Thunder Esports Tour Modified Series. Taking a look at those full feature race results here on Apex Racing TV. What a race from the Southern National Motorsports Park here tonight. Brandon Wilkinson grabbing that win by 2/10 over the 31 of Blake Barney. Kyle Eli in 3rd, Kyle Cisco 4th, Tyler Catalano in 5th, Daniel Hutchins 6th, Billy Kruska 7th, Casey Hatch 8th, Matthew Lambert 9th, Neil Rutt the 3rd will round out your top 10 with Johnston in 11th, Azik in 12th, Opgar 13th, Patrick Hosier 14th, Russell Peets 15th, Chad Garlicy Jr. 16th, Ken Zeems 17th, Jason Hand 18th, and rounding out up until 22nd is Tyler Catalano, Kenny Zeems, and Austin McCurdy. We're going to take a short break here on Apex Racing TV. Don't go anywhere. After the short break, we're going to have post-race interviews with your top 3 finishers, so don't go anywhere. You're watching the East Coast Thunder Esports Tour Modified Series from Southern National Motorsports Park. A night filled with contact and carnage, but as well as some great racing here in the East Coast Thunder Esports Tour Modified Series from Southern National Motorsports Park. Brandon Wilkinson, in his first race of the season, is able to grab the win, here at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Let's get him into the booth and see what his thoughts were from that. Brandon Wilkinson, what a night from you. Your first start in this series, and you are able to get the win. Talk about that race. You led every single lap, nobody even challenging you for that lead.
Yeah, man. It's obviously it's not often. You can come into a league or a night and think that you can run like that, man. Our stuff's pretty good. Our Southern National program is pretty good. Even at a fixed setup, we've got something figured out internally with the stuff you can't change to run good here. So, man, I wish it went green there just to relax a little bit. But definitely, Kyle and Blake kept me on my toes there the last couple of restarts.
Coming into tonight, you were already at a disadvantage, missing out on week 1, 2, and 3, with week 1 being a double points race. If you keep up this momentum, do you think you'll be able to make a run at the championship with 2 more double points races coming up in the season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really here for points, man. I think we'll just on free Thursday nights before Friday nights at Stafford in real life. I think we'll come here and just have some fun whenever I feel like it, and kind of cherry pick around and do whatever I think we can be successful at. Southern National's been a really good track for me in the past, whether it was a super, a pro, or a modified. So we felt that we could come here and compete tonight, and definitely glad we were able to do that.
Oxford Plains is next week. High banked track, just like Southern National Motorsports Park. Are you confident with your car heading into next week that you can go back to back?
Yeah, I mean that's one of those tracks where it's pretty rough and tumble, but we can do it with just some of the best. So I'm not really too worried. We'll if we do show up next week, we'll see what it brings. Definitely looking forward to racing a couple races with these guys. These guys obviously they know what they're doing. Just obviously need to clean up a little bit there, but other than that, I mean it was a pretty good race overall.
Anyone else you would like to thank before we send you off?
Yeah, of course. All my sponsors, Epic Media, Waddell Communications, Rocket Performance, everybody at the Posse, Ty Majeski, Riley, Joe, everybody at Wolfpack Motorsports, my crew chief Mark Logan, um, my spotter Tommy. I was getting pretty anxious there on those restarts. I felt like they were pretty unneeded. My super late model partners, Bernier's Liquors, Mo's Moving, and finally a big shout out to my man Brad. We've had a really tough week. He's fighting a losing battle right now. He got into a bad accident on his way to the Xfinity race there last week, and he's fighting a good fight. But just we're thinking of Brad. All the spotters are really close in real life as we see each other every weekend. So just this one's for Brad. Just hoping he stays strong and figures it out here. Definitely wishing good health and praying for Brad. This one's for him for sure.
Our condolences to you, him, and his family. What a drive from Brandon Wilkinson in the 56 tonight. Brian, you have Blake Barney, P number 2 finisher here at the Southern National Motorsports Park.
Hey, Blake, congratulations on your second place finish there. How was the car feeling for you over those runs?
The car felt good. It was still a tight little track, so you know the walls come up fast off the corners, so it was a bit tight, but overall good race.
Now, throughout the race, we saw a lot of contact happen. What are your thoughts on all the contact that was going on?
I mean it's kind of inevitable at that track because it's so tight and you're running so close with other guys. Obviously you can avoid it by a little give and take, but I mean it's just the nature of the track, especially with all the 22 cars on there. So it went a little bit better than I even thought it was gonna go. So.
Now, we saw a couple times on restart where you actually were able to get in front of Brandon Wilkinson, but then he was able to just charge back on that bottom. Was having that bottom and the leader just such a big advantage?
It definitely was bottom dominant, but I only got one try on his outside because I got uh, tagged in the left rear after that and fell back a couple spots. So yeah, I only got one restart to really try, but I got a good jump on him. Maybe I could have something for him, but just there was a lot of restarts at the end, and I was only given one shot.
Now, next week we are heading to Oxford Plains. Do you think you could be right back up there again? How are you feeling heading into that race?
It's kind of an oddball track for the modifieds on the surface, honestly. I don't run there a lot, but I mean they run there in real life, and it should be a good race. I think I'll be fast again, so time will only tell. We'll see.
Now, is there anyone you want to thank here on Apex Racing TV?
Um, just thank Kyle Cisco for running with me, building setups with me. Uh, we've been able to together get real fast on the sim and in the tour modified, so that's about it.
All right. Well, that was Blake Barney, our second place finisher. Again, congratulations to him. And now we have our third place finisher with my colleague Josh Lee. We have Kyle Eli.
Kyle, we've been talking to you for the past 3 weeks, but this time, unfortunately, it's not in victory lane. It is with a third place finish here tonight. Were you just not able to get the track position tonight with all the cautions, or do you think it was something with your setup or your driving style?
Yeah, probably just track position. I mean, the past 3 weeks I've been running the league. I just haven't been able to get a pole, so that's kind of been my issue, not being able to hot lap, I guess, in qualifying sessions and be out front. But I mean, when I fell back into third and Cisco kind of came down in front of me there, and we met each other, I kind of hit him in his door pretty hard. So I was down on some horsepower and kind of bent the right front a little bit. So I just couldn't turn the car as much as everybody else was able to, and so all those cautions basically helped me throughout the rest of the race. But glad I came home third. Still a good points day. Even though I want to win top three, I come here every week looking for a podium finish. So pretty good run. Still looking for a lot of more points that I've missed since the first race, but this has definitely helped. And plus, double races or double point races coming up will help me a lot too.
Speaking of points, you are up 5 spots up into P number 9 from 14th. You're still trying to chase down those guys that already had a double points race head start over you. Do you think going to Martinsville, which is in a couple weeks, next week we're in Oxford Plains, but then right after that we'll be at Martinsville for the second double points race of the season, that you can do well there and hopefully kind of skyrocket you up into the top of the points chart?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, every track I feel, especially in the modifieds, I feel very confident that it could be a podium finish if everything works out right. Just today I had some luck with, Cisco and Blake Barney getting into each other on the final lap. But other than that, yeah, I think I could get at least a podium finish at every track I go to, if not, a win. But Martinsville definitely is one of those tracks that takes more skill at that short track. But in the modified, I don't feel as strong there as I do in other cars. I've raced a couple of races there, and I haven't to the way I like to. But should be a really fun one. Hopefully, we could get good points there because we're gonna need it. I mean, I made like 5 spots basically every week I've been racing, but with these double points races, especially since I missed out on the first one, we're gonna need it.
Anyone else you'd like to thank here on Apex Racing TV?
Just thank you to you guys for broadcasting, and thank you to William for always putting on these amazing league races. That's it.
Kyle Eli, P number 3 finisher here tonight at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Brian, an exciting night of racing, one of the best weeks we've had here on Apex Racing TV with the East Coast Thunder eSports Tour Modified Series. We're into Oxford Plains next week. Are you expecting more of the same?
Yeah, I think it's what he said. The contact is just inevitable at some of these tracks. And I think Oxford Plains is definitely going to be another one where we're going to see some contact. But we got to see some great racing also, and guys that were wheel to wheel and for a couple of green flag runs there. So I think that the mix between the green flag runs and the cautions is just always going to happen. It's just what these tracks are made for. So it's a lot of fun though to see these guys as close as they are and beating and banging and charging their way back up even after they've had an incident. So it's definitely some great action that we're getting to see.
Points review after tonight's feature race. Matthew Lambert able to hold on to the top spot. Now 9 points behind, and second is Russell Peets. Casey Hatch hopping up from 5th to 3rd. He is in the 3rd spot now. Colin Johnston remains in 4th with Tyler Catalano in 5th. Trevor Catalano in 6th. Chris Downing, after not racing tonight, drops from 3rd to 7th. Kenny Zeems is in 8th. Kyle Eli jumps up to 9th. And Jason Hand jumps up from 11th, now tied with Hunter Azik for the 10th spot. We thank you all for tuning in tonight here on the East Coast Thunder Esports Tour Modified Series, live on Apex Racing TV. For Marco Barbanera, Brian Delp, I am Joshua Lee. We hope you can join us this time next week at Oxford Plains Speedway for week number 5 of the East Coast Thunder Esports Tour Modified Series. We're saying goodbye from Southern National.